welcome back to the channel. This is your January 2024 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is your reading. It's Romy. Thanks so much for joining me. We are going to open up this month with the energy of the Six of Cups. And it makes sense, you know, you're going to be reflecting and looking back over the last 12 months. And, you know, January is a time where you kind of have to let the energy build. You don't want to move too fast early on. And, you know, there's a new frequency to be sort of felt into that I think is going to offer a new take on things. So as you do reflect and think back to, you know, the important things that have gone on and what is still surrounding you and affecting you, you're going to be looking at it in a way that sort of helps you to detach a little bit more. And that detachment is key because it's going to ensure that the next move that you make is one that's really rooted from a place of soul rather than from a place of ego, or from a place of just wanting to draw back towards you something that perhaps you know or you understand is maybe meant to be left where it is, or even if something is still ongoing and unresolved, that we still give ourselves permission to kind of explore some of the new things that are also showing up for us in this month of January. Now, Mercury stations direct on the 2nd, which again just sort of opens up perhaps the opportunity to revisit some conversations that might have felt a little bit more tricky during the holiday season. And really, I think also make sense or perhaps see things in a new light, you know, now that you've got a little bit more clarity, there's less kind of brain fog around some things, then maybe your take on it will be a bit different. Maybe your willingness to see it in a way that, you know, perhaps will make some adjustments for you and kind of, again, what happens next. We also have Mars coming into Capricorn on the 4th, and this is a super helpful cycle for us to be a part of through January, because what it does is it gives us that direction and it kind of tempers a little bit of the impulsiveness of Mars, and we get very realistic. The important thing is around the questions that we ask ourselves. And, you know, we get to that point where we're like, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? And, you know, for you, particularly as Capricorn energy sort of activates that 6th house, there's also the consideration of, you know, what are the expectations that I have of the way I'm showing up to be of service? Like, why am I doing this? And, you know, this is really important to kind of sit with in the early part of January, because this clarity is the thing that's going to help to sustain you moving forward. Now, one of the main things that comes up for you in January is this theme of it being worth it. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind, because whatever it is that you're questioning or you're ruminating on, don't undo all of the work that it took to get you to this point, because it would be super easy to sort of zone in or identify on one particular area or even one conversation and get a little bit stuck in the energy of that. And so what we're seeing coming through is this is going to be worth it. But yes, there are some moments of discomfort as we kind of have to prepare, because there's also this sense of like emotional preparation, you know, and the Tower coming in along with the 6 of Cups, it almost sort of breaks the illusion of the nostalgia or the thing that, you know, perhaps had been holding you back or keeping you in a place of like looking at the potential of something. So, you know, what we're seeing kind of dualistically happening is a strengthening of your determination to kind of carry through with something, but also a shattering of perhaps some aspects of that or other things that have been impeding or causing resistance to you being able to kind of fully assert and fully allow yourself to kind of move forward with it. And, you know, when we talk about emotional preparation, you know, it means that we have to look at the surrender and the sacrifice, but not in the ways that you think, and also strength and a belief that enables you to kind of stand your ground with regards to something. Yeah. So although the Tower feels like it's going to come in and almost challenge you to your core in regards to something through January, I think it also helps to clarify in a kind of purification way that is crystal clear, like what it leaves, after it's sort of come in with that catalyst and that shift is really significant. And this does feel like it could be early on in the month, because as we come towards the new moon on the 11th, coming in at 20 degrees, we have this conversation happening with Neptune and Uranus, which is seeking freedom and this kind of transcendent experience, take me away, take me beyond, take me further than the limitations or the confines of my mind or my practical situation. And, again, that's part of why, from a divine perspective, the Tower sort of comes in as you approach that new moon, because this is a moon that's really helping you to reset your intentions. And, we're working with a numerology 8 year in 2024. So there is this development of our personal power and this understanding that the reward and the achievement is here for us, that we really prosper through the awareness that we have, the determination we bring to situations. But we have to sort of look things in the eye, and we have to be able to be prepared to say, okay, this is what it's going to take, and not shy away from anything. So when we have that kind of grounding and that support, along with this evolving spiritual journey that's helping you to tap in to your higher self in a more profound, strengthened way than you ever have before, the Tower then starts to represent something very different for you. And I think that's a really important distinction that you will make, so it's not something that feels like I'm dreading this or what's this going to bring. It's kind of like almost the, complete acceptance and surrender of like, well, yeah, this had to happen. This had to happen. And through that, there's a kind of spiritual maturity and emotional awareness. And again, when I talk about emotional preparation, your King of Cups is the perfect guide to enable this to happen. I think any setbacks that we feel, whether they have been toward the end of last year or you feel them sort of early on in this month of January, they are about to become the setup for something really beautiful by way of your comeback. And you'll feel that as you build towards the end of the month and this full moon that's going to come in your sign. Sometimes we have to let go of the feelings about what's happened, and we have to focus on what we're going to now do to make it right, or to build upon it, or to rebuild it. And so your attitude and your approach is one of, in a way, compassion towards yourself, but also the circumstances, and perhaps people's position within, the pathway. And even if you don't agree with certain things and certain ways that people are dealing with, sort of the energy and what's going on around you, you can still find a degree of understanding, if you like, that perhaps they're between a rock and a hard place. And so, as you allow that sort of transcendent, taking a higher perspective, immediately you're able to transform this experience into what it's meant to represent to you, which is actually this enormous kind of opportunity to say, okay, well, now I'm really clear about what I need to do and why it matters to me. And this is what it's going to take. And this is what I'm going to make sure I'm fully aligned with. And that all comes in around that new moon Capricorn. So it becomes like the launch pad. And it becomes something that you really set your store out, and it has a huge influence actually in terms of, what transpires. Now this year we've got like 2 full moons in Capricorn coming later in the year, and so that new moon is like extra auspicious and important in terms of what we will achieve and what will culminate over the next 6 months. Now we also need to be mindful that Juno, asteroid goddess, is turning retrograde in Virgo right after that new moon. She moved into the sign in October, has this extended stay, and so, she rules the partnerships, marriages, contracts, agreements. There will be things coming up to renew around that time, which may feel to you, I need to sort this because it's no longer offering me the flexibility or the freedom, or it's becoming more burdensome than, what I would enjoy or what I would be prepared to accept. So your magician comes in and says, okay, there are changes that we're going to have to make. It's not like an exit strategy. It's not a complete ending. It's more of a, here are the areas we need to look at. And so if it's anything more professional, like there's going to be looking at break clauses or, reworking agreements to make them more satisfactory, that might take some time. It couldn't, not necessarily going to be something that's sort of overnight. But we get a plan in place with the Virgo energy supporting us. If it's more on a closer relationship perspective, again, it's going to be about open communication and also really sharing what it is that you do need. It's not enough to just say, well, this isn't working. It's, got to come from you from a place that says this is why it's not working. And then start to kind of invest in those pathways and those discussions that say, okay, this is how it can be improved, or this is how we consciously uncouple, or, whatever that desire or that intention is, emerging from you and how you kind of deal with it. And it's important, like how you deal with things early on in the month is going to make a huge difference as to the experience that you have as you harness this full moon that's on its way through. And the magician tells me that, you're very aware of all of the different intricacies and sort of influences, and you are managing to kind of look at all permutations and all possibilities. Mercury Capricorn arriving on the 14th again helps us to speak quite directly and honestly and really talk about the commitment piece, what it's going to take, and be sort of realistic in the measure of the milestones or the sort of the timeline that we're also looking at, and how we feel it's enough to be able to sign up to something or not. Okay, so you got a lot of supportive energies working with you for sure, but you also have to consider, Leo, your sources of light, because earth energy is not the most activating for you, can feel a little bit draining. So your consideration, especially mid-month, is also going to be around like who and what nourishes and sustains me. And, I think it's really about letting loyalty be demonstrated back to you so that you know where you can take refuge and where you have a safe space to land in January. Because some of the new plans or the ideas or the things that you're thinking about, you do need to talk through. You do need to kind of have that riff with somebody and go like, right, what does this mean? And is this the right thing for me? But you need to be really mindful and careful of sort of who you're choosing to connect to or where you're sharing that kind of an information. And it's also about, what is overly depleting or draining you, because, with the 6th house energy being activated, it's like new routines are required. And honestly, I feel like there's a new routine that's super simple. Like it's not some kind of like major life adjustment, but it is something that you do that's going to be totally life transforming through the month of January. And you do stick to it, so whatever it is, it's because it feels easy. So this is what I would say to you. If you're looking at making shifts and changes, make them as straightforward and simple as possible. The more simple, the better, because it's actually going to have a bigger impact than what you can even realize at this moment. And you'll see that very quickly over the next few weeks. And again, this is going to help you to plant those seeds and harness the potential of what this ace represents in terms of the movement forward. So as the sun shifts into Aquarius and we come into your 7th house energy, a little bit easier for you with that air, things start to ignite and feel like they're kind of kicking up a tempo a bit for you. Of course, we've got Pluto shifting into the sign on the 21st, so it's a major move. Staying here until the beginning of September before dipping into one final cycle with Capricorn and then back into Aquarius fully on the 19th of November. So how are you feeling that shift? Pay attention around that time. We're all going to be working with this for, a long sustained period of time. You'll see it happening within the collective, but what is going on closer to home with you? These are the areas that you're going to be working to transform. And again, it's not everything happening overnight. They're just little seeds that are being planted, with this change in cosmic conversation. And you're like, okay, this feels different. I feel like my focus is being shifted towards something different. And, you know, that's also a big sign that says, well, I have to make peace with the lessons that I've learned and not keep going back. Yeah, because there are some things that, you know, we need to draw a line on. There are new things that need time, energy, attention, and devotion. And so let's talk about what happens later in the month, because on the 25th, we've got this stunning moon coming in your sign at 5 degrees. And it's squaring with Jupiter, but I just love this energy for you. It's like all the pieces add up and the revelation is significant. And so what I see going on for Leo is a kind of what now moment. But the what now moment feels like it's coming in with quite a freedom seeking kind of energy to it, and a desire to want to share or express. And, you know, this is you at your best. This is the spotlight on you. This is you being able to give the performance of your life and really, you know, have people see and recognize you for who you are, and you being able to express yourself for who you are. You know, loud and proud is kind of the mantra of this full moon. And, you know, despite the sort of tension that Jupiter brings, it kind of forces you out of your comfort zone, even though you have that natural propensity to be comfortable with center stage. You know, there are still going to be those parts of your life where you feel a little bit more doubtful or hesitant or vulnerable around. But this is like an absolute power-packed moment to kind of really seize the moment and affect change in quite a big way in your own life, but also to kind of galvanize people and bring them together and sort of, you know, create that kind of dynamic, momentous energy. And of course, on the 27th, right under the light of that full moon, we've got Uranus stationing direct. And the progress here is that, you know, we now require to take a bold action based on all of this revolutionary experience that, you know, we've been working through and processing and considering the last few months. So it's kind of a maverick energy, which means there's also the likelihood of some unexpected scenarios playing out. And remember, Uranus is touching that new moon as well. So once again, through this month, it's having, you know, a profound influence in terms of how things, you know, really translate and how they come together. And as I said, a lot of the pieces are sort of starting to make sense to you, but there'll still be one or two twists to the story that mean that you can't even fully prepare and fully kind of plan until you're right on that full moon. And then I think there's going to be perhaps a few sort of last minute almost choices and decisions that you make based on sort of what gets thrown up or, you know, what comes across your path. And that, you know, it's not negative. It just feels like, you know, you're going to want to take the opportunity, seize the moment because of what new information or messages have sort of come through to you around that time. So allowing this energy to build and then really kind of using that full moon for everything that you need to is going to be why January is such a kind of epic month as you look back and reflect in terms of sort of how it's prepared you, what it's setting you up for, and some of the kind of really progressive conversations that are going to take place. So if you're new to the channel, Leo, our last 3 cards we look at in the extended version of my reading, you can find the link for that in the comment and description box underneath. And we talk for 30 minutes or so. We'll look at also a relationship question and a personal question for you in the extended. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify the main reading and see the direction we will be taking that in. So let's have a look. Beginning with the 6 of Cups, we have the energy of the 4 of Wands. We've also got the 3 of Swords. We've got Chiron activating the North Nodes through January, so there's, you know, a continuation of this need to feel and to heal. 7 of Cups. What about this King of Cups? We've got 3 of Wands, High Priestess, 8 of Coins. All the decks that I use, oh nice, another Ace of Wands there, are listed below Leo, okay? Death coming through. The Star, lovely. Ten of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and another Magician coming in here. Some beautiful cards just showing up around that full moon. Just gonna really be in your vibe around that time, so take advantage of it. Let's have a look at some oracle cards now, just to join this conversation. So this is my own deck, Life Soul Vision Oracle. You'll see more information over on my website. Please check it out along with my other sacred titles, all here to support your soul journey through this year. Energy conversations. Labyrinth of Sweet Surrender, Detours from the Divine. Third Eye Energy, The Gathering, Blossoming Soul Song. I like that we've got 55, 44 coming through for you. Some nice master numbers revealing themselves. We have Caring Connections showing up here. There's that reminder about the loyalty. And we also have Perspective. Okay, Leo, we will explore these in the extended. I hope you'll join me. It enables me to continue to keep showing up month on month on the channel. Have a beautiful month of January. Take care of yourself and those you love. And I will see you again next time.